Hello everybody, Matt Builderback here. I'm going to start a video series to discuss one of the most important pieces of equipment that you need to play disc with your dog. That most important piece of equipment is the disc. We're going to start a video series here that talks about all the different ins and outs that I have learned in the 15 plus years that I have been competing and performing and this sport with my dogs. I'm now on, I think, about 7 or 8 frisbee dogs that I've had through my house, and they all like something different. They're all different sizes. And so the equipment that we pick and choose to play this game with is very important. I get asked a lot of times, what kind of disc should I have for my dog? What kind of disc do you like? And then in the different games that we play, what kind of disc do you like for this game? What kind of disc do you like for that game? So one of the things that we're going to cover in this video series are my preferences and some of the things that I enjoy in the way that certain discs fly, what I see that works better, and what doesn't work quite so well, as well as a lot of the different things that I have seen. I've taught for 10 plus years locally here in Ohio, as well as a few other locations, the game of disc. And so I've seen a lot of different types of dogs that play this game and what they like, what they don't like, what works well for newer players, what might work well for more seasoned players. Um, so in this series, we're going to kick things off with what kind of disc should I choose for my dog? And so the main thing that we want to push here in choosing the right disc for our dog is we want to pick something that is actually made for our dog to play disc with. So a lot of the discs that are available in different big box stores, online, some Amazon and other types of retailers, they're not always a good disc for your dog because they're not really made to be caught by your dog. So a couple of things that we want to make sure we do is we go to a reputable company that has been doing this for a very long time. They make the discs with plastics that are made specifically for our dogs to catch, and certain things to look out for, and what I like for my dogs when I'm starting out. So whether they are puppies or older dogs. So start off with some of the manufacturers that are available here in the United States. The first one, as a member of Team Hero, I gotta point them out, Hero Disc USA. That's right. They've been making great discs for canine athletes for a very long time. They have a wide range of sizes, weights, and collars that are available. So definitely check them out, Hero Disc USA. The second company that makes a very wide range of discs in different sizes, shapes, and weights is also Hyperflight. This is their competition standard. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but Hyperflight offers discs for their competition series called the Skyhounds World Championships and all of the qualifiers and locals that are available with that. With that, you are required to play in those games with their discs. So we'll talk about that for a little bit. Something that a lot of newer players are playing in, that's right, Toss and Fetch Worldwide. This is their championship disc. But I'm not pointing this out because of the stamp. I'm actually pointing this out because of the disc itself and the name. So, this name right here, Frisbee. Frisbee is the original name from the original disc that was made. And it was actually made by Wham-O. And Frisbee is more like a brand name like Coca-Cola. So, it's not really what we refer to, and that's why it was called Disc Dog, because there's other types of discs that are available, not just the Frisbee. But these are not actually available through Wham-O anymore. In order to get an original Frisbee type disc, you have to go through Discovering the World, and they offer a few different sizes and weights of discs in the Wham-O mold. So those are some of the types of discs, some of the manufacturers you can get those discs from. There are some discs that are available locally. So some of the stores, I know Hyperflight in our area has some of their jaws and some of their other discs available in stores, as well as online. All of these discs mostly can be purchased either from a local club, someone who is a distributor for them, or directly from the manufacturer themselves. There are discs that are available online under these names that may or may not be from those particular manufacturers. So you'll want to make sure that you do some research on that and make sure you get the right disc that is made specifically for your dog. So the plastics in these range from stuff that is very, very soft to more rigid, but they're all made to be punctured by a dog's teeth. If you get a disc that's not specifically made for this, a lot of times they'll crack. And a cracked disc is a dangerous disc because your dog is catching it in their mouth. When they bite down on it, that crack can open up, it can pinch, it can shatter into pieces, they could swallow those, all kinds of dangerous stuff if you're not playing with the right disc for your dog. So we want to make sure we're getting them from the right place to begin with. Next, I'd like to talk about what kind of disc I like to start my dog on. So I'll start with puppies. We had a set of puppies that came through this household not too long ago. And so we have a couple of them in the house that are a little bit older now, so they're playing with a different type of disc. But when our dogs were fairly new to the sport, we had to choose different types of discs to start them on. What I started them on when they were really, really small was something that was round and fabric. A lot of big box stores do have stuff that's available in a fabric disc, and you want to make sure that they're very pliable on both the flight plate, which is the center of them, as well as the rim. And I'll show you an example of a disc that is very similar to that here in just a minute. Something that's also available, some of the retailers offer pup discs. So this is the smallest disc available through Hero. It's the 120 pup. The smallest disc that's available through Hyperflight also is called the pup. So this is a little bit bigger than this disc in size, you can see. And then Hero also offers another disc that's a little bit bigger than both of those, but only by a slight amount, and that is their Atom. These are the three discs that are available in some of the smaller sizes. The Pup 120s, when we're talking about little dogs, these are fine. In my eyes, they're fine for a dog that is small but has their adult teeth, because it is a hard plastic. Okay, so it is flexible and pliable, but it is not as flexible as some of the other options that are available. So I like those for smaller dogs that are adults, but not necessarily for puppies. One of the discs that my dog started on when I was first introducing them to rollers after they had moved on from the fabric discs was the Atom. Okay, you can kind of get an idea of the size of the Atom here. It has a couple of options in it and how flexible it is. So this is the soft Atom. It's very flexible. I like this particular softness for starting my dog. They also offer one that's stiffer. So this one's a lot stiffer. It takes a lot more effort to really bend that disc. This is good for dogs that are a little bit bigger, or if your dog is older but still small, this is a good one because it holds up in the different types of conditions. So I really liked starting. Salsa loved this disc. This was her roller disc for a long time, as well as Maddie. She had a different color. She needed a different color for that. They also are available in taffy, or you can kind of see my hand through this, the translucent. This is the Star Plastic from Hero. These are very hard to find, so if you can get your hands on one of those, they're really cool. The next disc that we moved up to is very similar to a fabric disc, I believe, but it feels rubbery. Now, some of the big box stores do offer a rubber disc, And the downside of the rubber disc is the weight of it. So a rubber disc typically is very heavy. It'll drop like a brick when you try and throw it, so you have to throw it really hard, really high, which is not very good for a puppy that's trying to learn to catch. So you want something that's fairly light, that's going to float in the air. In comes the Go-Getter. This actually was the disc that Salsa and Maddie first caught out of the air. The beauty of this thing is it feels a little rubbery, okay, which means it's going to hold up well when they're biting and chewing. I mean, they have very small and sharp teeth when they're young. But the best thing that I like about this, and what you should be able to do with a disc that's fabric as well, is you should be able to crunch this thing up in your hand, put it in your pocket, and then it comes back to shape. Okay? That means that when your dog bites on the edge of the rim, it's really soft for them, because little mouth, they're not going to really bite too far onto this, and they're not going to grab it with their front canines. They're going to grab it by whatever they can in their gums as they're learning how to catch. So I really, really like this as a starter for them. One of the other discs that I also started them on is the Hero Sonic. Okay, this is a lot stiffer though. So when your dog's a little bit older and they're able to catch something that's a little stiffer, but they're still young as a puppy, this is a great one to start with. So a couple of the discs that I like to start dogs off with as a puppy are the Gummy Go-Getter and the Hero Atom. Now, if you want to go through the Hyperflight route, there's a couple options for you. If you want a slightly soft disc, you can go with the Frostbites. Those are made to stay softer when the weather is cold out. So they're a little bit softer, but not a lot. But they're not quite as stiff as like a CS might be. Okay. The other option that's available is their Soft Flights. They're yellow. They got the little butterfly on them. Those are very, very soft discs as well, similar to the Go-Getter in that, you know, they're soft and flexible. Not quite as flexible as this disc though. The other thing is Hyperflight offers those in two sizes. Now, I don't have a Soft Flight available here for you guys to see. You can take a look at that on their website. But what I do have available is the two different sizes. So they offer the Soft Flight in a pup size disc and the regular CS size. So those are the two size differences. So pup for smaller dogs. I like this for, you know, dogs that are up to maybe 25 pounds, you know, 15, 16 inches. Or if you have a bigger dog that is still a puppy, this might be a good starter for them. And then anything bigger than that, we want to go with something that's more of a normal dog size disc. Now, what if you don't have a puppy, but you have a dog that is new to the sport? What do you do to start that dog? Well, again, the Gummy Go-Getter is a great disc to start even an older dog with. So, because it's soft and flexible. Okay, I like this a little better for puppies just because, you know, the teeth. But some dogs are a little sensitive with what they're biting, so this is a good alternative. It's also fun to play tug with and whatnot. You know, it gives them a little something to grab a hold of. The disc that I like to play whenever I'm trying to start a newer dog in the sport is anything that is a light plastic disc. Now you might ask, well, what's that mean? Well, typically your discs kind of run in ranges of weights, and those are in grams. Anything that's between, I believe the CSs can be just above 80 grams to the Heroes and the Wamos that can be just over 100 grams. Okay, so somewhere in that range is just your normal kind of lighter plastic disc. So the ones that are available in that, again, we have Hero offers, this is one of my favorite discs of all times, the Hero Air. The 235 on there is the size of it, so that gives you an idea what the size of that is. Hyperflight has their competition standard. This is also a great disc to start dogs off with. And the good old Wamo Frisbee brand. That also is a good disc to start dogs off with. The reason why I like these particular discs, if you do have a smaller dog, you could go with something along the lines of this, which is, this is their extra Sonic Extra from Hero. So slightly smaller. Let's see if I've got a... This one's not marked as that, but that's what it is. You can see it's just a little bit smaller. Another beautiful fact of these, fits right inside of a 235. Great for storing them in the bag. So smaller dogs, I like to go with even the Extra 215. That's the size of this one, in the Sonic. Any of those discs are great for dogs when they're starting out for a couple of reasons. Now, some people are worried because their dog's a hard biter, or their dog's big and they chew through discs like crazy. I like to use a disc that's lighter because I'm thinking about the long-term advantages of that for my dog. Now, the short-term disadvantage is you're going to go through discs pretty quickly, depending on how hard a biter your dog is. Most dogs that I see when they first start out, they're not quite as hard of a biting dog because they're trying to figure it out. A lot of times a disc to a dog doesn't necessarily equal toy. They're unsure of it at first, so they don't typically bite quite as hard. Now, some of the harder type of dogs, yeah, they're going to bite it pretty hard. And you might be able to progress more quickly as they learn how to catch the disc into something that's heavier and more durable. But the reason I like to go with something lighter is it gives my dog that much more time to be able to make the catch, to make up their mind, to be more successful, teach them how to do it the right way, as opposed to learning that that disc is going to drop fast, that disc is going to drop hard. You know, you want to teach your dog to come up and make a nice leap for it, or to make that decision to bite really hard on the disc. You want something that's going to stay up in the air a little bit longer. So I like to use the lighter discs. Here in Ohio, it's starting to get cold. It's starting to get snowy, muddy, and all that kind of fun stuff. My favorite disc to play when I'm teaching a dog in cooler weathers is the Hero Extra. Now I know everyone's drooling because there is the Extra Distance 235, very hard to get a hold of. But what is available is the Hero Extra Freestyle. What's the difference? Well, as far as your dog's concerned and what they're going to do to the disc when they bite it, not a whole lot. Now, what I like about these discs is they tend to hold up a little bit better when the dog bites on it as opposed to some of the other light plastics. Now, if you go with the Sonic Extra, it's the same plastic. It's going to do the same thing. These tend to dimple and dent. You might get a few little kind of holes poked in them, but for the most part, they hold up a little bit better, especially on the really cold days. The major difference between the Freestyle and the Distance is the grippiness. So, on the Freestyle disc, the surface feels a little bit more slick. It's a little, compared to like maybe an Air or a CS or anything, it's more slick than any of those. Now, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it a little more user-friendly when you have discs stacked and you're trying to play freestyle. But for me, I'm not as much of a fan of the slickness of the freestyle right out of the box. But there are some tricks that you can do. So, a little bit of temperature can make a world of difference on these things. So, one of the things I like to do is I like to get them nice and warm in some warm water to clean them off, even fresh out of the box, and that will also cause them to lose a little bit of that stickiness. The other thing you can do in the summertime when you're playing, just take them out and throw them. That motion in the grass as it's spinning in the grass, that helps to kind of take a little bit of that slipperiness off of them, and they become a little bit more grippy. Now, they're not going to be as grippy as the Distances, but they're going to be a little more user-friendly. But the beauty of playing in the wintertime and getting your dog started on this is you're not trying to throw 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, however many yards. You're just playing a little game in your backyard, exercising your dog, and if you're playing with a newer dog, you're just trying to get them to catch the thing. So, great option. These are still available from Hero Disc USA. So, I hope you guys learned a little bit today on some of what's available out there, some of my preferences for my favorite discs, and get out, play with your dog, have fun with them. We're going to enjoy what has to come in this video series with all that's available from all the different manufacturers. So from here in Ohio, I'm Matt Bilderback. Get out and play with your dog.